Hey everybody, welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson. It is November the 28th, I think is the date. I hope everybody had an absolutely amazing trading day. We had a lot of movement today and a fair amount of volatility that wasn't necessarily well scripted. So we are going to take a look at a couple of different things that that may turn out to be good opportunities in the future, and also some of the positions that we have outlined over the last couple of days. For those of you that are new to the channel, we look at the same 12 markets every day because we're looking to find high probability entry points in these futures markets. The number one thing is we leave the lines on the charts, and leaving the lines on the charts makes us accountable to what we talk about. Now, some days like today, we don't always want to be accountable, but it's the truth, and that's what we want to make sure that that we are completely transparent in all the stuff that we do. So, the way I like to say it is, "Mama told me there'd be days like today." So we'll take a look at a couple positions. So first of all, in the S&P. You know, we have this level down here that we talked about yesterday, this 2574, 2576 level. We do have this area that was formed right through here. I was actually speaking to a friend today about this region, this range right here, and I like that it was the old resistance, the old ceiling point here, and can act as really a new area of support. So this area right in here could be an area that you could see a reversal coming up. So keep an eye on this region here as a potential reversal point. We're starting to see that the markets, as we are climbing higher, do give us, we've got to be able to raise our entry potentials to a little bit. And, this would be what I would have considered to be a pretty good breakout trade. And I didn't frankly was sleeping when it was setting up to be a good breakout trade, in the late evening hours, right around the London Open. But that's the kind of thing that we want for a breakout, right? We want it to be hit once, to be hit again, and then to just kind of base before a big boom on the breakout, and that fits our breakout trade style. And then a little pullback into here would be a good potential entry point. The Nasdaq. Now, in the Nasdaq, we had a breakout entry set up, and this is the kind of breakout that just will make you crazy. We broke out right through here, and on that breakout, you're going to place your stop just below the prior pivot low. So right below here, only to get stopped out, only to have it come right back up. So this is the kind of breakout trade that gives breakouts bad names, and didn't work. So we're going to let that one go. There's nothing really not much more to say about that particular breakout, other than it just it failed out on us. And there was, between the North Korea missile launch today and the Dow rallying up over 200 points on the Republican tax bill, moving towards the Senate vote, and there's just other things that are happening, and a lot of that volatility found its way to stop me out of what could turn out to be a pretty good trade. So it's not dead, frankly. I still think that we're going to rally higher from here, and that rallying higher from here, we'd want to find a good entry point. Right now, there's nothing showing itself that I'm going to be looking to use, but we will have it in place going forward. Now, a couple of other things to look at for today. One of them is crude oil, and crude oil did not make it quite down to the area that we believe could be a decent entry point. Was falling in the overnight hours and was unable for price to get into that entry point that we have set up on crude oil. I think that still is a good entry point going forward. So we'll keep that level in place. If you want to look for a smaller time frame entry, you might actually get, if you trim this down, you might get a smaller time frame short entry somewhere up in this region. So keep an eye on this region here for a smaller time frame short entry for those of you that are looking for small time frame entry potentials. Gold today. Gold was all over the place, wicking up, wicking down, wicking up, wicking down. Really nothing in gold. You know, we had talked earlier in the day about how gold, we'd moved our stop to break even. Thank goodness that we did, because it just kind of wicked us around. Really not a whole lot of movement in gold. I had made the mistake and erased the lines. I normally don't erase the lines, but unfortunately I did on this one. We had a confirmation entry in gold. Go back to yesterday's video and you'll see where they were. But earlier today, we had talked about the reason why we were moving that stop to break even. It just wasn't, trade really wasn't working out, and that was it was a level that we moved that stop to break even so that we were going to be okay and just following the plan. So once again, Mama told me there'd be days like this, but this level I think is still going to be a good place that you can get in if price comes back down to that range. Looking at our bond markets, our Aussie and Euro trades. So in the bond markets, we can see on the contract rollover here in the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform, we had the gap down. If I did the contract specific, that gap wouldn't be there, but they did the contract rollover, and so we had that gap down. I had spoken yesterday about this could be a potential entry, and look at what happened. Lo and behold, it hit here and came down. So maybe some of you were able to set that trade up. I did not have it set up at all. I'm still waiting on that. That big move up here. There's not been a lot in bonds that have excited me for the last couple of weeks. And you can see that we've got some turning points, but those turning points just aren't the high probability turning points that I'm normally looking for. The Aussie. So the Aussie today, we had rallied up off of our entry point level. So this one was starting to move our way. Still in a profitable trade in the Aussie. So for some of you, you may have already taken some of those profits off the table as it met entry and then immediately started trading up. Got to about a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio at one point before now it's pulled back a little bit. If you're still in this thing, I would be very, very cautious with it and maybe be taking some profits sooner rather than later. The Euro, hashtag missed it. Was completely wrong on this one. As price came into the area, I thought, okay, here we go. And it's for 3 hours, we just sat on top of it and couldn't do anything before eventually falling and succumbing to the overall predominant big picture trend, and it continues to fall right now. So we've got to obviously remove this area as that trade did not work out. That would be one where we would take a small hit. However, I think that if we get a retest back up into this range, you might get a good opportunity back up into this range. So kind of keep that area on. I think if that hits right around the London Open, that's even going to be better. Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar still has nowhere come near our breakout areas that we had set up a couple of days ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, I guess it almost is now. We've been in this position for, waiting on these positions for a long time. There was a time where we were getting trades off in the Canadian two or three a week. We really haven't gotten anything in quite a while. We do have this region right up here to keep an eye on. It's not a great region. Matter of fact, you might even want to go a bit lower and include these overlapping wicks right down here. But I'm going to mark that one off for now. It may change tomorrow. Let's, because our arrival into there is going to be a big deal. So let's take a look at our last couple of markets, the Great British Pound and the Japanese Yen. So our Japanese Yen areas, we've not come anywhere near our Japanese Yen entry point as it's just kind of hovering above that range. There's no reason to really do much with it. Great British Pound, we keep just flirting with this area up here. So you may have gotten into this short up here. It's up to you. I would not be in this thing based on my rules, simply because we didn't trade deep enough into it yet for me to get long or short as it comes out of the level. Remember, a dashed line means I need to trade in, and then I'm going to get short as it comes back out. So as it stands right now, would not be in this thing, wouldn't be in any of this move. It's really, really, really been nicking, kind of that area, tickling the ivory, if you will, without getting the orders actually filled. So we're still waiting on that area up here for the Great British Pound. So last but certainly not least is copper. I haven't done a whole lot with copper recently. It's not really something that I trade very often. I added it to the list because I know a couple of you had specifically asked for it. But one of the things I do see when I look at this particular chart, you see this region here where we've been bouncing above, if you will. So it's had a hard time piercing through here. When it does pierce through here, I think there's room for it to fall. I don't like any of these levels in here, so kind of keep that in mind going forward. So with that, I will say adieu. For those of you that are subscribers to the channel, thank you so much. For those of you that are not, please subscribe to the channel. Give me a like, give me a comment, give me a tweet, give me a share, give me a something. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, chuck@iiefinancial.com. In the meantime, I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great day. See you soon.